Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Tamara. Today we are covering another BookTok book featuring vampires in dark academia, perfect for that spooky season mood read. If you would like to see this in video format without commercials, you'll need to head on over to Patreon and sign up. There's a ton of content there for you to watch, including after shows, vlogs, and more. If you are listening on the Spreaker podcast app, by signing up as a supporter, you have access to the after shows and other exclusives in audio only. If you prefer video, then you'll need to head on over to Patreon. And while I'm talking about Patreon, don't forget to check out the coloring pages that just released. They're available for purchase if you want to just check them out and give a little donation to Shelf Addiction. But if you're already a Patreon subscriber, you have access to those for free, so don't miss out. You can also join me and my two co-hosts over on the Book Club's app for even more bookish chats. Please subscribe and like the podcast wherever you're listening. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can find me everywhere at Shelf Addiction. Joining me today is featured co-host Casey from Heartful of Ink. Welcome back, Casey.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yay, are you ready for our first mood read of the season?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Tell everyone where they can find you online.
You can find me on Facebook at Heartful of Ink, on Instagram at Casey_Heartful of Ink, or on my website, heartfulofink.com.
Okay, so before we get started, of course, we'd like to remind you that as always with Book Chats, we talk full spoilers here. So spoiler alert, you've been warned. Today we are discussing Immortal Dark, written by Tigist Girma, narrated by Jordan Cobb, published September 3rd, 2024 by Little Brown Books for Young Readers. The hardcover comes in at 432 pages, and the audiobook runtime is 17 hours and 1 minute. Casey, would you kindly read the synopsis?
It began long before my time, but something has always hunted our family. Orphaned heiress Kaiden Adane grew up far from the elusive society of vampires she was born into, where human bloodlines gain power through vampire companionship. She is obsessively protective, mildly nihilistic, and willing to do anything to save her loved ones. When her sister June disappears, Kaiden is convinced that a vampire stole her, the same vampire bound to her family bloodline, yet the cruel yet captivating, how do we say his name?
Susanyos
Sagad. Thank you. The captivating yet cruel Susanyos Sagad. To find Jude, Kaiden must infiltrate the elite Uxley University, where students study to inherit their family fortune and select vampire companions. Kaiden must study an arcane philosophy, work with four enigmatic students, and survive living with Susanyos, even though he does everything to drive her away. It doesn't matter that Susanyos' wickedness speaks to Kaiden's own violent nature and tempts her to surrender to a life of darkness. She must find her sister and kill Susanyos at all costs. When a murder mirroring June's disappearance shakes Uxley, Kaiden sinks further into the ruthless underworld of vampires, risking her very soul. There she discovers a centuries-old threat, and June could be at the center of it. To save her sister, Kaiden must bring Uxley to its knees, either break free from the horrors of her own actions or embrace the dark entanglements of love and the blood it requires.
Okay. Yay. Thank you. So, just a little something on pronunciation.
Yes, please, because I know.
I found this thing by the author. She talks about how to pronounce things.
Oh,
and
good.
that's why I pronounced her name Tigist, because that's how she said it is.
She said it? Okay.
Tigist. And my instinct was to say Tigist, but it's Tigist.
Okay.
Kaiden is how you pronounce that.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm so wrong.
Yeah. And then Susanyos.
Okay. Yeah. Susanyos.
And then, of course, it always helps when you have the audiobook and they are saying it correctly.
Yes.
So I have combo.
I apologize.
No, girl, you good.
Everything.
But that's honestly, that is the biggest thing about audiobooks, is because 99% of the time the narrators are saying it right.
Yes.
Because they either get something from the author or publicist or publisher or somebody that tells them how to pronounce it. So
yes,
I was like, thank you, Lord. Because I would have messed it up. I'm like, if you look at it phonetically, it doesn't sound like that.
You're wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
Thank you. You'll have to keep reminding me during our chat.
No problem. And I meant to write down some of the other characters' names, like her little friends, but I didn't. So
okay.
I'm gonna be like, you know that guy? Oh wait, one guy is GK.
But my brain kept saying GQ because I'm used to that. And I'm like, this is 2 letters. How can I say this wrong?
Yeah, and her one other little, the girl she met, the first girl she met, I cannot remember her name. It starts with an S. I can't remember it to save my life.
Oh, the one who dies.
No, not her. So I guess she met her second. The girl who dies is... That's a mess. Hold on.
There's so many characters. We need a character reference sheet.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. Here we go. Yeah. Thank you, somebody putting this together. I appreciate you. There's somebody on this website I found.
She was very important, and she had the scarf and the broken watch.
Slyn. No, so Slyn is who I was talking about. But who died was Ramen. So it's spelled Ramyn. But every time I heard it, I had the food ramen in my head. I was like, ramen. I think it was ramen how they pronounced it, and I'm like the food. And so that's why. That's why I'm like, why couldn't I remember that? I was saying ramen the whole time, so I hope that's right because that's what I heard.
Okay. But well, if you heard it on the audiobook, that's what we're gonna take.
Girl, at one point I was listening at 2.5. I couldn't take it anymore. So I think that's what I was hearing. Okay. So high level, Casey, what did you think of Immortal Dark?
I loved it. Yay. I loved it. It was very slow, but spooky and eerie. And I will say they compared this to The Cruel Prince by Holly Black.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I think this got everything right that The Cruel Prince got wrong. So that made me like it even more because I was like, oh, you're doing this, but you're doing this right. So I appreciate you more because you're right. So I will rant about that throughout the hour. But no, I really, really enjoyed it. It was very different from everything we've read. I really loved how she was bringing in the African mythology and like specifically talking about different tribes and like this is from Ethiopia and this is why this is Ethiopian specifically. And I was just like, this is amazing. We usually don't see this in books. So I'm very happy that we're seeing this now, especially with vampires, because how often are vampires white European men? Like all the time.
100% of the time.
So
99.9%.
Yeah, this was so different and so unique. Yes, I did have a few issues with some things, and we'll get into that. But like high level, I love it.
Okay, I was surprised because I didn't hear a peep from you.
I know. I was binging it. I was like, this is good.
Okay. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to walk into here, but we're going to find out. Okay, so I liked it as well. There were a lot of things I liked. More than a couple things that I want to nitpick a little bit.
That's okay. We love a good nitpick.
But I agree with you on the slow start. Like, I don't mind a slow burn, but this one was almost too slow. I'm like, dude, please, God, help me. Help me get through to the good part. When does the action start? I couldn't take it. I was just so frustrated with how long it took for things to get going. So I think that was my biggest complaint with like over 400 pages. Move it, lady. Move it. Like, I mean, just faster. I think, yeah, that was my biggest complaint with the book. But other than that, I liked seeing black faces, things that I don't get to see a lot of times. And I also like the history, and it all made sense. See, sometimes when I guess there's fantasy and it's like has like that African lore and African story, sometimes it just doesn't click with me. Sometimes it's so far removed from what I understand, it's not enjoyable. But that wasn't the case here. So she gets props in how she was able to
absolutely
do that and keep it like accessible.
Yes. It was modern and easy to follow and just yes. Yeah. I love her world building.
Yeah.
But I think to talk about the beginning, I think she relied too heavily on the past murder and how our heroine was like, yes, I'm a murderer, I'm a murderer, I'm a murderer, I'm a murderer, and just like kept hounding on that. And she was hoping to use that to keep us intrigued, but there needed to be more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess ultimately she was a murderer, but okay, so I had some issues with Kadan.
Yes,
okay.
yes, please start.
So in the beginning, so up until about 60%, I just had a really hard time with how impulsive she was.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so first let me back up one space. Let me back up one space on the board.
Yes.
This book was served up as YA. It's published
Oh, it
as
is?
YA.
I didn't
But
realize that.
I heard that it was pitched as new adult, but they put it in the YA slot.
This is not YA. This is definitely adultier themes. Like they are 18, 19.
Well, we never actually, I don't remember seeing their ages on the page. Did I miss it?
Somebody said they were 18 at one point. It was a secondary character in passing. Okay. Something about their 18th birthday.
Okay, so this, and they could be a variation of ages in that group, which is why the author was pitching as new adults.
Yes.
But this is not a high school. This is not a traditional university. They're going to learn about how to be partnered with these vampires, the history of, the Draenigs, which they call vampires, and how the humans work with them, these 80 families. So it's not even a traditional academia setting. So they're in school, but it's a different kind of school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that said, so some of the stuff that Kadan was doing, her actions in themselves had an adult flair to them, but her instincts were very childlike. Like, I feel like she just decides shit on a whim. Like, she had no planning, no thought, and I was getting really annoyed by her in that way. I'm like, girl, you're just dumb. Why you doing that? Why you doing this? Why you doing that? I just couldn't understand. And that shit was more annoying than anything. And you know me, I like morally gray characters. I don't mind a FMC that is not sunshine and rainbows. I don't mind that at all.
Yes.
But I had a hard time getting behind, like, how she was talking to people, what she was doing. And I'm like, okay, girl, we know you looking for your sister, but goddamn, can you come up with a plan? You just winging it. And
yeah. There was no plan, and she was so dumb so many times. And I also out loud said, "Why are you being this dumb?"
So I think I hated that. I'm like, why? Just be smart. Just be smart about it.
She really needed to come up with a better plan than
she had no plan. She was just gonna go there and constantly, like, she was so single focused on Susenyos. She was like laser focused on his ass at all costs. And then all of a sudden she's not. And I understand like how she got there, but it was like, I'm gonna stop.
No, please keep going. I love this.
But it was like all of a sudden when she figures out, and it was pretty late in the book when she figures out that it was
over half the book.
Yeah, that it was a plot and he was framed. But she does the right thing in the 9th hour. But up until then, she was really considering telling his lie.
Yep. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So again, she's morally gray and I'm fine with it, but I just need her decisions and her methodology of doing what she's doing to like make sense and not be so like teenage and whiny and bitchy. Like I feel bad because Kadan has like had like a lot of her actions are based in pain and grief.
Yes.
But I think what's happening is we don't see that.
Yeah, we're seeing the anger, not the grief.
Yeah, and I think if the author had kind of given us more full circle earlier on, maybe I could get with some of the stuff she was doing, but I couldn't.
So,
period. Full stop.
I do agree with what you're saying, but I was more forgiving, again, because I was comparing this to The Cruel Prince, where we also have a very angry heroine who is making stupid choices constantly, but she didn't have like the same motivations. Well, okay, so in The Cruel Prince, she wants to save her sister, except her sister is alive and right next to her and says, I don't need saving, I'm fine. You don't have to do this. But then she continues to make all of those same stupid choices and does all the stupid stuff and everything's terrible and blah, 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 which is why I hate the book. Okay. Here, she's saying, I want to save my sister. And I'm like, okay, yes, your sister is missing. She is possibly dead. Like, you have real motivations here. So I was happy that the motivation was there and it was clear and it was explicit and like there was actual danger. And so that's why I was more forgiving, because I was like, I've seen this done wrong. You're at least doing it right with the motivation. Yeah. Yes, you could have done more. You could have given us more backstory. You could have explained her anger a bit more. But at least we have better motivations than other books. So that's me like comparing books and finding this one better.
Okay, because I didn't read Cruel Prince, so I have no clue what that book is about.
Just don't.
Yeah,
don't do it.
I don't think Holly Black is for me. I tried another book by her and I didn't care for it, so I just stopped.
Holly Black can write a very beautiful sentence. Like, she is a very talented writer. I just don't like her characters or her plot lines or her world building. But like, she's very talented and I can admit that. And like, read the prologue. The prologue is fantastic. Then just stop. I love the prologue. The prologue gets 5 stars from me. And then I need to stop after that.
Poor execution sound like.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, no, I did see a lot of similarities here, and I was like, you are better than Holly Black in these things. You've did this better. This is a much better character, much better development. Like, I enjoyed this better, so I was more forgiving in that sense, because I had something worse to compare it to.
Okay, that's fair. What did you think about, like, when Kadan showed up to the house, her family house, and, you know, Susan Yost was like, you gotta get out of here, bitch. You gotta leave. And she's like, no. And so here we start War of the Roses, basically. They start just going at each other back and forth, like ultimately kind of pranking each other, but in the worst way.
Yes.
What did you think about that stuff? I'm like, oh my God.
I mean, I have a very fucked up brain, so I laughed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I laughed at some of it.
Like, the funniest one to me was when he like puts fake blood in her room.
Yes, I laughed. I'm sorry. I know it was a very serious moment, but I laughed.
Look, I laughed. I'm like, she about to break her own
damn arm.
I'm like, oh my gosh. Now that says a lot about that character. She can go to the length to injure herself in that way.
Well, she started out by slamming her face into a wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, honey, I know what you're doing, but like, there are different ways to injure yourself.
She keeps trying to make it look like Susan Yost is doing stuff to her. And so she calls the D. She's like, help me.
Just help.
And then when the D gets there, she comes over there with her, muscle. And she like looking around. She knows something is off. She's like, what's going on in here? She's like the mom with 2 kids sending them back to their opposite ends of the house. Like, what is this bullshit? You're going to get kicked out if you do this one more time. And you, sir, you're also going to get it if you can't stop, And it's found out this is not real blood. It's like fake
it's
blood.
Fake. It's like syrup with dye or something. It was so
and
funny.
was like, what? Oh, I'm like, bitch, you broke your arm for no damn reason. But then it's instantly healed because she gets forced to drink vampire blood. So I thought that was the funniest one of all of them.
Yeah, no, I laughed at that one. Then when he put her on the roof, at first I thought that was a dream. And I was like, just jump off the roof and fly down. Like, this is a dream. And I was like, no, it's not actually a dream. Ramen is really here to save her.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like, oh my gosh. Let's see, what else? What other ones? There were a couple more she did.
Those were the two that made me laugh the
Mhm.
most.
Mhm. Yeah, so that was interesting. Like, it was interesting, but again, it was just slow moving. So it's
Mhm.
like, even though some of those things were funny, I'm like, okay, how long are we gonna do this? And then finally we got to the point where the tide turns. But when the tide turns, so another one of my issues is transition. So obviously a
Mhm.
clear part of this story is enemy to lovers, right? That's
Yes.
there. And I kind of knew it
And they
was
are
going to be
true
there.
enemies. Like,
They
thank
are.
God these are true enemies who are actively trying to
Oh,
kill and harm each other.
yeah.
Like, yes. Yes, these are the enemies I say I want when I say I want enemies to lovers.
Yeah, Susan Yost is totally trying to force her out by any
Mhm.
means except for death because
Mhm.
he physically cannot kill her.
Yes.
So he's trying everything else to get her
Mhm.
out. And she's
It's not
stubborn.
working.
She's not going to move. And so, but yeah, you're right. This is a true definition of enemies to lovers. But my problem was the transition to that. It happened so fast. I think it was
Mhm.
like 2 pages or something. It happened super fast. And I'm like, "Oh shit, so now we in the pool and doing shit? What's happening?" I'm like,
Yeah. Did they actually have sex that first
"Look,
time, or
look,
was it
look.
just
Okay, so I did not feel like going back, but I'm like, "Wait, was she just grinding on him or did they actually do it?" I'm like, "I'm not
I thought they
clear."
were like, I kept expecting it to get a little more explicit. I thought, like,
See, if
I
this was
couldn't
full on,
tell.
if they put this in adult or new adult,
Yes.
the author could have cleaned up that scene and made it more clear
Mhm.
for us because it's
It
not clear.
it's not clear.
No.
Ugh. No, it needs also, she needs to be over 18 for me to be okay with this.
I'm gonna assume she's over 18. That's just the assumption I'm making based
Yeah,
on
I mean,
this
she
girl's
went
a
to jail,
killer.
and it was
She
adult jail, not
Yeah.
juvie,
Yeah,
so
so she's over 18. How much over 18, who knows? Um, there weren't any parts of them drinking or anything, so we can't even reference that
there
really.
was one moment where they were walking around drinking, but they just said drinking, and I assumed it was beer or alcohol.
Mm. Yeah,
When
again,
she
it's
was with her
like vague.
friends, and it was just, like, a very random moment that, we skipped past.
Yeah, so more like adultish things that could have been.
Yeah, they're other than the murder, there needed to be more adult stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, is it okay for the youngins to see all the violence and just no sex
And no beers.
and no
You
beer?
can't say the word beer or vodka or whatever they were drinking.
But they can like rip people's head off and pull
I'll
people's
rip their
spine out
teeth
their
out.
back and yank the
Yeah.
teeth out. I'm like, oh my God. The scene where she yanks out his fangs. Oh my God. I'm like, what
That
the
was
fuck?
intense.
He's telling her to do it or else. And she's like
Okay.
enjoying it. She's
Yes,
enjoying
she
it. And he's
enjoyed
like,
it
you're
way
getting
too
off on
much.
this basically. He was so pissed. I'm like, you should have just bit her ass.
Mhm. Mhm.
The fucked up part is she probably would have liked it.
Oh, she
So,
definitely would have liked it. And
yeah,
it would have been safe. Her blood was clean, quote
yeah,
unquote, before that.
yeah, and they didn't know it,
They
but
didn't know it yet, but
yeah, I don't know. It was wild. I'm like, we ain't getting out teeth. We pulling spines out of people's backs. We're just doing all the things. So that is pretty gory for a YA, if you ask me.
very, very gory for YA. Like, this definitely should be 18 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Do not hand this book to a child.
No, and even like the scene where he actually just starts drinking her blood from various parts of her body. And he
Mhm.
kind of says something like he likes exploring all the things from all the bites that he can have. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that's a little adult,
It's
you
very
know?
adult. There's one part where he's, like, sucking on her thigh, and I was like, "Are you
Oh,
gonna
he's
move your
sucking
face
on
over
her breast
boobs?"
at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like going like for the chest area. I'm like, oh my
Mhm.
God, he just bit down.
Yep. No, this is
Yeah.
definitely an adult book. You
Yeah,
need to be over 18 to read this book.
definitely. So it's like, why even I don't understand why the publisher did that. They just should have gave her what she wanted, gave her a
Mhm.
new adult tag and let her flesh out some of this
They should
stuff.
have.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Big mistake. Huge.
Huge mistake.
Yeah, but maybe they'll do it like they did the Sarah J. Maas stuff. You know, they
I
kind of
hope
rebranded
so.
it. And
I hope so, especially since this is getting a lot of readership and a lot of clout, especially on BookTok, where they're all about the smut and they want things spicier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had the author had the perfect beginnings of some real smut going on here. I mean, that could have escalated pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It'd been smut
But it was
central.
so vague. I was like, what is even happening?
Yeah. Maybe young kids may not get it, but full adults, we understand. You know how, like, sometimes when you have a
15-year-old will understand what's going on.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right.
They're naked in that bathtub.
Yeah, they are. I'm like, why she got get completely naked in there? I'm like, what? What are we doing? So it's like she went from I'm gonna kill you to let's bite and fuck.
Yeah.
That's what we're
doing.
doing.
I mean, sometimes you just have to have angry sex. And I feel like if this was more adulty, we could kind of get into that angry hate sex stuff.
Yeah.
Because that can get really spicy and really good.
But I just want a little bit more of a transition.
Yeah.
Like, give me a spark of where you're looking at him or he does something or you hear something or you learn something, you know, over time that your heart slowly starts to crack a little, you know, soften toward him. And instead of it being like a switch, like it was a switch.
Yeah. No, they needed a little more foreplay before jumping in that pool.
Yeah.
Like some angry makeout sessions. Again, like this isn't enemies to lovers. You can have angry makeout sessions.
Yeah. This woman pulled his teeth out of his mouth. I'm like, what?
And then paraded them around the gala like a trophy.
And she rubbed his face in it.
And embarrassed the shit out of him.
Yeah, because she's like, I know he cannot say he did not give these to me because it would embarrass him even more. Yeah.
So he has to take the slightly less embarrassing route.
And they're like, oh, he's into that? You did that on purpose? You let her do that? I don't understand why he did that to begin with. I would have ran my ass out the house before I let her pull my fangs out.
Because the house would have turned him human much sooner.
Well, look, he could just ran outside. He didn't have to. He left the house. He did leave the house.
He could have. Yes, he could have just left.
He was like not tied to the house 100% of the time. He just couldn't like desert the house.
No, he could have left. Like as she went to go get the pliers, he could have run out the front door.
Yeah.
But then we wouldn't have that scene and the subsequent scenes.
I swear that was the craziest thing I think I read.
Insane, but I loved it.
Yeah. Before the whole ripping out of the spine, I'm like, what the hell? That was crazy as well. Like, is that okay? Period. Yeah. Okay, so what else? So much going on.
It was just so bloody violent, and it was really fun at times. I know that it was fun. I'm just gonna lean into this. It was fun.
It was fun. Let's see. What about her friends? Let's see. So there was Raymond, like we said, Ramen. Then, of course, there was Selene, who was like kind of two-timing her. And then GK, who was also a good guy, but now I fear he's going to be a bad guy.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be happy when he realizes what they did to him.
Oh, he realized at the end. He looked at her like...
He's not going to be happy when he comes back.
How dare you? Like, once he sleeps it off and wakes up, he's going to be like...
He's either going to commit suicide immediately to try and end an immortal life and not give it to anybody else, or he's just going to give it to somebody else and
pass it on, you think?
Yeah, pass it on. But he did not want that.
He didn't. And then I think, what was the other friend? Tamal? Was that the other friend? I think or Taj.
So.
I don't know. I'm confused.
Taj was the vampire who said they were friends.
Oh,
And she was like,
okay.
when did we become friends? And he was like, we've always been friends, because he was
Taj
really...
is Susanyo's friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same with Aniko, right? That was his
Yes.
other...
Those were
She's
his
the one who
two...
figured out that her blood was clean because she bit her. And he like,
well, she thought she was poisoned.
Yeah, she thought she... Now remember, if you don't make the vow or whatever, if someone drinks from you without having done those steps, their eyes show red and they get busted. So she did that thinking that her eyes would turn red and they didn't. Remember later, he's like, oh, you're good.
Yep.
And we never did get clarity on why, unless I missed it. Why was her blood okay? Did she make some kind of promise or do something and she forgot?
It's killing. So this was the final test. This is, if you kill another person from your own free will, then you have now like become like a vampire, and vampires can drink your blood. So that's why nobody ever passes the class. So way back kind of early in the class, when she was walking through the graveyard and she was like, oh, only one person died last year. Oh, like 2 people died the year before that. Later, when they're like, 1 person graduated last year, 2 people graduated the year before, it's every time a student has killed. And so when the professor...
and admitted it, right?
Or I think so. Or like killed of their own free will, or like own volition of like, I willfully killed. And that's why Susanyo's like tried to trick Tamal into murdering that other guy whose name I don't remember. But like, so that way her whole group friends of group, the whole group would graduate together. And he did that on purpose. So yeah, no, you have to kill in order to be part of it. So,
okay, but I do think admitting it though is also part, because remember they say what they think the answer is, and he's like, you failed.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait
a second.
And then she proceeds to tell more, and that has to do with the killing, and her friends are like, oh no, and then they're like, okay, you pass. So I think killing is that major component, but if she couldn't figure out that was why, then she would have failed.
I think so, something like that.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a quick break. I think we're due for one. By checking out these commercials, you are supporting the podcast. We appreciate you for doing that. And when we come back, we'll finish our conversation. We'll rate the book, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Okay, welcome back. Fastest break ever.
Yay!
Okay, what's next? What else should we talk about?
There's so much. What's next on your list of complaints? Let's work down your list.
Okay, so let's see. We talked about the slowness. We talked about her being impulsive. And okay, so I ultimately did have a little bit of trouble with the magic system. Okay. So we have a house magic, then we have like blood magic, I guess, where you can get memories from the blood in different parts of the body. But I feel like I didn't have quite a good grasp on the house magic.
She definitely needed to explain that more, because she was okay the first time she came into the house and totally fine in the house. And then all of a sudden she's like, I can't last more than 4 minutes in the hallways or in different rooms. But then she was totally fine when she wasn't thinking about that. It wasn't consistent.
Yeah, and it was strange because it was like, okay, so there was one base rule, but the house seemed to be morphing and like making its own rules, because
it was changing. Yeah,
and I kind of would like to have known like up front that the house can do that, because it seemed real black and white when the dean or whatever was trying to explain with the cup, right? With the cup of her making the rule, you can't put the cup down or whatever. Yeah. And it seemed like more black and white, but as the story goes on, it's really gray.
Yeah, the rule with the cup was just a weird, arbitrary part of the magic. Like, that actually had nothing to do with anything except for the rule that he can't hurt her. He can't hurt anybody. Like that was it. The rest of the magic we needed more explanation for. Right.
So it seems like there's more nuance to the rules than what we were told. Like it was explained, this is the black and white. You can't hurt the house, but then or anyone that belongs to the house. But then it's like, the magic of the house can decide if a clue is doing that. The magic can tell intent, and the magic can pick this and pick that. I'm like, okay, wait. So can other people's houses do this? Is it unique to her house? I mean, there was just a little bit missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. It wasn't as fleshed out as it could have been. We needed more. And I also wanted to know, like, okay, so the bedrooms are safe havens, but what about the kitchen? What about the living room? When she walks through the front door, does she only have 4 minutes to sprint to her bedroom? Or is it, just...
Yeah. It's weird because there are different parts of the house that have different effects.
Yes.
So the house can absorb, the fact that they were constantly fighting made the house worse.
Mm-hmm.
So when they started being in harmony with each other, the house seemed to calm down a little bit.
A little bit, but still, they were having issues walking down the hallway. They were having issues in the one room and then a different room, and it just... It seemed like
it was different things. Like in one place, it would be grief, or one place it'd be anger, and then it's I don't know, different things were happening in different places.
Yeah.
Which is why is that? What is that?
The different parts of your brain. So, if you cut your brain up into different rooms, here's your grief room, here's your anger room, here's your memory room, here's your relaxed room.
Well, let me just also say, you said something that was false based on what you said is true, but it makes it false based on what the author wrote.
Oh, what?
So earlier, the author said that the bedrooms were safe. She said that.
Yes.
But then later, after Susenyos figures out that the house thinks that his intent was to break the rules.
Yeah.
It made him human in every room.
Yes.
It didn't exclude the bedroom.
No. And that was... It was weird. It was one of those things where I was like, I thought this was your safe haven. I thought this was your relief room. But apparently, since he broke the rule so bad, the house is like, nope, we're taking it all away.
But the house can choose. Shouldn't it have just been one more room, like what happened before? Another room, not the entire house.
It should have been. That's what I assumed. But I guess he fucked up so bad by making her choose. But it was weird. His intent wasn't that bad. His intent was to save her in that moment, right? He said, here's the clue. Here's how you can save yourself, because I can't come save you. Here's how you save yourself, which is not harming her. It is putting her in harm's way.
Well, the only thing that his clue did was allow the house to be harmed by bringing that other guy into the house. I think that was the house's issue, is now this other dude is coming into the house.
Okay.
And he is not family. He doesn't belong in the house.
But still.
I'm like, did he really break the rules, though?
I didn't think so.
Kadai broke the rules.
Mm-hmm. She did.
So I don't quite get it. I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
I don't know. I like a just good understanding of the rules. And once you lay the rules, if you want to do
break
some
them
other
or twist them and be like, here's the rule, here's how it gets broken, or here's why it's broken. Just a good, solid explanation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, that's just me reading with my brain on.
That's okay. That's a good way to read.
Because honestly, there's a lot of people that really loved every aspect of this book. Everything, they just loved it all. And I'm like, okay,
No, I think it's good to have criticisms of books, because I don't think I have ever read a completely perfect book.
Mm-hmm.
There's always some sort of criticism. There's always some sort of, I wish this was different. I wish there's more explanation here.
Mm-hmm.
But we are very critical. We've been reading for over 2 decades now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We know what to expect from a really good book, and we're critical. But that's a good thing. You should be critical. Yeah. You should question things. You don't have to like every aspect to call yourself a fan.
Yeah. That's the truth, because otherwise I wouldn't be a fan of anything.
Seriously.
Apparently.
Seriously.
Apparently. Yeah. So yeah, I guess those were like my biggest, you know, problem areas, and they're not exactly small areas.
But
But, you know,
overall, like, they're not that bad either.
no. No.
Like,
Not
we have ripped into books much, much worse than that. That is like a light tap on the wrist for you.
yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. You're right.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
What'd you think about June?
Okay, June, I understand her plight. I understand
Mhm.
why she did what she did. But my goodness, girl, that end, I feel like to find out that she willingly left her family, willing,
She ran away willingly and
yeah,
happily.
yeah. And she's talking about how great these people are. I feel like she doesn't know the whole story either.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm afraid she is brainwashed.
Yeah, she is a little bit because I'm like, I think she thinks she's on the good side, but I'm not certain she is.
Mm-mm.
Because even Kadan's character said, okay, they didn't drink her blood because they can't,
Yeah.
not because they were good people and didn't do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And June's like, they've been nothing but nice to me. They didn't even try to drink my blood. It's good. They good.
Mhm. No, girl.
You don't have the whole idea. So she sound young
Mm-mm.
and dumb.
Yeah.
And they
I
took
know they're
advantage of
twins,
that.
but, like, she sounds a lot younger and dumber.
Yeah, she totally took
But
advantage of that. The other people took advantage
Mhm.
of that.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
that guy,
absolutely.
isn't he Susan
Best
Young's
friend
brother?
from childhood.
I thought they had the same last name.
They do because when they were attacked and turned into
Samson.
vampires, they, like, bonded and became brothers, and there was a whole thing about it. So he was his, like, childhood servant until the vampires came. And then they became, like, quote unquote blood brothers as they fought and bled together and then turned into vampires together. And then
This is gonna be like, what did I can't think of it right now, but I just like recently I was either watching or reading something. I confuse the stuff now.
that's
Um,
okay.
but there was a situation where like we were talking about the what's the name of that book? We just did the book versus the adaptation.
My Lady Jane?
Yeah, My Lady Jane. So you know how in there Jane thought that her servant was her friend,
Mm-hmm.
and in the show, like, bitch, I'm not your
Yes.
friend, I'm your servant.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think this is gonna be like that. Like, we were friends. How could you cross me? Like, I wasn't your friend, I was your servant. And now
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of bad blood between them.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure a woman came in between them too, because there was one flash of a memory
Uh-huh.
where Sosinyo was like, "Stop looking at my fiance," and the
Yeah.
dude was like, "Nope," and then the
Yeah.
memory ended, and I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, so it's a girl. He stole a girl or something
Mm-hmm.
happened and
Because
they're
yeah, no, like
resentful.
they are not brothers anymore. They
No.
hate each other. They're gonna try and kill each other. Like it's gonna be bad.
Yeah. And now that he is human in the entire house,
Mm-hmm.
Samson can come in there and Samson doesn't know it yet, but it probably won't take him long to figure it out.
No. One like push into a wall and he cracks his head open and dies. Oops. Didn't realize he
Oops.
was human.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder how that's going to work in the next book. So I am curious about some stuff for
Mm-hmm.
book 2 because I'm like, how's the author going to wiggle herself out of this? I'm guessing what's going to happen is at the very end, though, Kadan got power over that house. The house did what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe now that she has it, she can
She
change
can
the
write
rules.
rules. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe she'll save him that way. She'll try to backtrack some of those rules or
So I have
change
a
it.
question.
Mm-hmm.
This was not explained very well, but like, can you have multiple rules in the house?
I think you can, but it seems like you have one baseline rule
Okay,
for the
yeah,
house.
that's kind of what I thought because the rule was
Yeah.
about him, but
Mhm.
then like the teacup rule, and I was like, So you can just write a random rule anytime and then... But it was weird. So that was one of those things where I was like, I just want this a little bit more fleshed out. Like, just give me a little bit more about, like, the rules and how they work.
Yeah, so again, with the house magic, like, hopefully the author will give more and we will understand how Kadan is going to be able to change rules or create new rules. Because I'm sure that's what's going to happen for her to be able to protect him. Because now she got two guys. So they had the little ceremony. And so both those dudes bit her at the ceremony. Oh, God. And now he can just be up in her house, and he brought Jane along with him. And he was talking to Jane kind of rude. He like, get over here or something. He said,
yeah, come on here. No.
Yeah, I'm like, dang.
He has definitely like mind washed her, brainwashed her.
Yeah.
Because why would you run away from your sister? And again, never look back. Like, that tells me you're kind of a terrible person.
Yeah.
So I don't really like her right now.
Yeah, she kept saying, like, she would listen to her sister and just come back. Like, she would not be able to maintain her own opinion if Kadan told her what to do. She would just do it. That's what she implied, right? That's what she said.
But still, like...
For her reason.
Don't run away with the vampires.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just don't run away with the vampires. How about that? How about we start there?
And to be honest, if she had been up front with her sister, she wouldn't have killed that woman.
Their mama would still be alive.
Yeah. Although she wasn't the greatest person either.
No, she was a very abusive, terrible woman, and I'm not sad she's dead.
But she wouldn't have killed her.
Not like that. Maybe a different way. Maybe the sisters could have run away together, gone and found different vampires, or gone back to the university together, or done something. She didn't need to abandon her sister like that. Like, that was
cruel. Very cruel. Yeah, and if she knew her sister at all, she would know. She wouldn't just let it go. She just wouldn't be like, oh, she gone now. No.
Yeah. No, she would not.
Yeah. So obviously either she didn't know her sister very well or she's just stupid. Maybe a little both.
Sounds like both.
Yeah, I'd be mad at her. If I were Kadan, I'd be mad because I'd be like, I killed a woman because
I killed our foster mother.
Yeah.
And you're sitting here asking me how she's doing? I killed her because I thought...
Because she helped her to leave. So she lied and said Susanyosa's name.
Yep.
She could have just said, look, maybe if she told the truth, she wouldn't be dead right now, but maybe she might be. I don't know. But yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
It's possible those vampires lied to her and said, my name is Susanyos. Like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, maybe.
It's entirely possible. So, but no. I have no sympathy for Jude. I hope Jude gets her ass kicked in book 2.
Yeah, me too. She needs a little
wake up call.
Yeah, definitely. Because Samson and all his people, they were technically running the 13, right? They were
like the secret organization behind the 13, telling them what to do.
Which was also kind of stupid, but okay, I guess. But they, so the whole thing was the whole time they kept trying to frame Susanyos. They wanted him out of that house.
They wanted him out.
So that was a long game, though.
It was.
That was a long game to frame him. Like, I'm going to place this bracelet in here. I'm going to like leave these breadcrumbs so that Kadan knows it was you. And then when that didn't exactly work, we're going to make it seem like he killed someone and that he did this. And, they just kept gunning for him. And he seems very, he's lethal.
He needs to get his immortality back, or at least leave the house and start killing some people. Because,
it's like they have one night. How often does that night come where they can just sit up there and kill each other? It's like the Purge vampire
yes.
style.
I think it was once a year.
Okay, so maybe next year on that night, he'll be out trying to kill Samson.
Probably. I feel like he'll do it sooner, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, because they can, and actually that was kind of interesting how the author kind of allowed people to turn, but they couldn't just turn people the traditional vampire way. Like a vampire had to die to let someone else be a vampire. That was really interesting. So they used that night of like killing and getting revenge and killing whoever you want, like as a method, like the vehicle to change other people, because you die, but you are gonna make another vampire.
Yeah.
Or drain egg, as they call them. That was interesting. That was very unique.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because you can't just go around like turning people like that. It seems like it's more exclusivity this way. Someone has to give up their life to let you be.
Which I thought was really, again, a very interesting and new take. And I love this mythology of vampires. It's so fun and different.
It is different.
So.
And I think the author has a lot here to grow on. I feel like
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's just assume, this was her starter book. So yeah, it started slow. But if she's learned and grown, that second book is just going to take off. I hope.
And it should. Right now, we're starting with the problem solved. The problem was we need to find June. June is here. So what are we going to do next? Next, we need to bitch slap her and put some common sense in her brain. So, are you going to tie your sister up and put some common sense in her brain? It's going to start. I think it's going to be much, much faster because so many things have fallen into place and that people can just move from here. And also, hopefully, Kadin is not going to be as stupid. Like, she's going to have plans and she has people she can talk to now. And she can, group plan with everybody. And they're already planning on killing the new guys. So, there are multiple plans in place.
Yeah.
Or coming into place.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So, after talking about it.
You feel better?
I might read the next one.
Yay!
Because I'm curious. I just want to see what happens. And, this is a planned trilogy. Ooh. So I kind of like the idea that there isn't going to be a gazillion books.
Yeah.
I kind of, not that I'm anti-long series now, but I get really apprehensive when I don't see an end in sight. I don't know what kind of commitment I'm in for. So knowing up front this is a planned trilogy makes me feel more open to reading what's next, because I know, worst case scenario, there's only 2 more. I know that sounds bad, but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. Yes.
All right. Any other things? Did you have a list?
I didn't have a list this time. I just enjoyed it. And I wanted to listen to your list.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and rate Immortal Dark. I'll let you go first.
5 stars. I love this book. Yes, there are some nitpicky things like the slow beginning, but I loved so much of it and it was so unique and it was so fresh. I'm giving it a 5 stars.
All right. Excellent. Okay. What do I want to say here?
I can keep talking if you need more time.
No. Okay. So honestly, I was going to, I'll give full disclosure. I was going to go with a 3, but I feel like I liked it a little more than that. So because I just let the words out of my mouth that I would continue, that's better than a 3. So I'm going to give it a 4 because there were a lot of things I liked. And I think I can get past the issues I had, especially my biggest, like I said earlier, my biggest number one issue was the pacing. It was so fucking slow to me. It was so slow.
It was slow.
And to the point where it was almost painful. But if you can get past that, it's really good stuff in there. So yeah, I think it's a 4. Ultimately, it ends up in a good place. And there's a lot more that I'd like to see done.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm very hopeful for the next book. I think it's going to be a lot faster pace, a lot more action, a lot more violence, hopefully better sex scenes.
Hopefully
but
it has a new adult tag, assignment to it, so we can get some other stuff.
We need to confirm that she is definitely 100%, like 19, 20, 21, or 22 even, because he's like 500 plus years old, and please God, let her be at least 22.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff.
Yay!
I wouldn't mind a time jump too, actually.
Yeah.
Time jump and be like, on her 23rd birthday.
Yes.
And here we are. War. War in the house. Okay.
War.
Okay, that was good. I'm glad we picked it.
I am too.
Yeah, BookTok actually delivered this time.
This was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was season appropriate, which I really love.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Very Halloween-y.
Yeah.
Very perfect for October.
Exactly. So next month we'll be back with another book chat. We don't know what we're doing yet.
We'll figure it out.
It should be fun. I think we'll probably do something again that's seasonal.
I hope
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's it, you guys. Thanks for listening to the entire episode. We appreciate you for doing that. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening, and share this with other friends that also enjoy vampire books and seasonal reads. Yeah. Okay. See you guys next time. Take care of yourselves.
Bye everybody.
Did you enjoy today's episode? If so, please head over to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave a positive 5-star review. It's a simple action that makes a big difference. You can also like this episode on your favorite podcast player or share it with your fellow bookworm friends on social media. Joining the Shelf Addiction Patreon family is another way to support us. For as little as $2 a month, you can help our team create even more amazing bookish content. If Patreon isn't your thing, consider becoming a supporter on the Spreaker app for just $5 a month and gain access to exclusive audio-only content. You can find me everywhere, including Instagram, X, and TikTok under the handle Shelf Addiction. Join our book club of the same name on the book club's website and app, where we discuss all things bookish and more in a safe space. The Shelf Addiction podcast is a part of the Nerdy Maven Network. Thanks for tuning in.